from Kapow Software. Kapow is a really agile way to grab data and do app integration without any APIs or coding. While he's setting up, I know we have a bunch of people in the back. We got some seats over here, and yeah, feel free to grab a seat while and start it. And also, I did get some questions earlier before we were getting started about how to demo at the Meetup. So for those of you who are here for the first time, we do have a website, nyetm.com. And if you go there, we post videos of the events, which you see now recording. We also have some blogs. We sometimes post interesting links relevant to the enterprise space. And on the right side column, you can see that there's an apply link. So basically what we do is we have a Google Doc form, you fill it out, and then the team reviews it. So if anyone is interested in presenting in the future, please do so.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to just be about 90 seconds or so. What I love about Kapow, I've been here about 2 years. I was at IBM and a few other enterprise accounts, and I sent the software over to guys I know like UPS and Sony and IBM, all technologists, and they said, that stuff's really, really cool. So I couldn't wait to get over here. But what's most exciting is when I go to see customers is the brainstorming. They may bring us in for one thing, but then they say, there's someone over on the other side of the shop that could use us. We're like, the best way to describe us is a sandbox that's a mile wide and a mile deep. We're not just using financials, we're used in the government, we're used in local and state government, we're used in logistics. So it's really cool software. For that purpose, I'm going to get right over to Tyler and give you the skinny on our software. Bottom line is we've been around for 12 years, so it's not new software. We're on version 9. And what we're about data. We're about getting you data fast. Now, getting data is not the newest way in the world. There's tons of ways to do it. Tons of ways to do it. What we've developed is a browser. And what that does for you is, what's the most difficult thing holding you up from getting at data, no matter where it exists, is APIs. How long does it take to make an API? Months? Weeks? And what's that hold you to? To that black box coding. So what we have is a super agile way to let you and your enterprise, not just your IT group, but your agencies, your different departments, now with this new version, down to the end users, to very quickly get at data, no matter where it exists, behind the firewall, in applications, and so that brings us to the next point. Where can you use us? And there's tons of different solutions in areas where we're being used. Great point is now with big data. There's tons of data in Facebook and Twitter and blogs that the enterprise wants to get at. For cyber sentiment, for the government wants to get at, that's the bad guys, they'll talk through the web. Another good point is let's go through these points. The first one, content migration. What we do is we can automate the way we're going from one version of Documentum to SharePoint. We can automate that very, very quickly. Web intelligence. And this is where our biggest group of customers are in social media. So if you want to get at, again, Facebook. You want to get at data in blogs that are really deep inside the web. We can set up automation to get at that very quickly. Application integration. This is all over the place. So in logistics, great point is in third-party integration. You want to your B2B portals that go from one spot to another. You need to get at that data quickly. And in mobile, we have customers who are mobile enabling existing applications in weeks. Banking applications, and then process automation. These are 3 quick customers. We have Pfizer, a great example. They had over 300. This is a requirement from the government for their financial group. They need to get at the data behind their partners. For instance, Chase or Bank of America. They need to know what the cash position was around the world. They had to report that once a week. They couldn't get at that data at all. After 6 months of trying, they had 20 APIs. They thought it was impossible to get at that. With us, they bought us, and in 3 months, they had the whole solution solved with no APIs. Another example is Audi. This is a kind of cool story. One of the reasons I came to Kapow is it's such a cool, neat story. There's nothing more mobile than a car. Does anyone know the Audi A8's Google Earth navigation system? They were announced the Audi A8, and the CEO found out a few weeks before the announcement that the navigation system that they were selling heavy on a car wouldn't work. They had 9 service providers that gave them gas information and map information. If John was driving from Florida up to Washington, D.C., they knew he liked Japanese food, so they would guide him to that. Within 3 days, they bought us, and they had all those integrations connected and taken care of in 3 days. So it's all about quickness. And Commerce Bank is probably one of the more high-profile banking applications we've mobilized. Actually, they mobilized within 3 months. So they purchased us. They were able to use the existing business logic of their existing application and mobilize all their customer-facing financial applications in, was it 3 months or less than 3 months? So it's all about quickness with Kapow. And with that said, what I do is just jump right into software with Tyler. We'll go through some examples of the automation we can use. And then again, think about it. It's the brainstorming that can happen because it's so agile. Is where we want to go with this.
Thank you, Tom. So yeah, I'm a sales engineer at Kapow, and I'll be walking through a real-life example of what we call a robot. And this robot is going to do 2 things. It's going to sift through a whole bunch of data that's accessible on some external websites, and then what it's going to do is it's going to integrate with Salesforce and an email exchange to keep me up to date with some sales opportunities that I need to do. But the core thing that we have to do is first define how this Kapow platform works. And I'm going to use this quick video to walk through that. But essentially, to work with the browser that Tom was mentioning, which, depending on how many adult beverages the engineers have had, it includes about 1 million lines of code. Could be 200,000, I don't know. Well, what it does well is integrates with websites and web apps or any other content that's on the file system, and it does it in a performant way, in a very robust way, in a scalable way. And so we can pack on all sorts of features on top of that to interact with websites to grab data, or to puppeteer these integrations or these different websites and create an integration where there was no API before. So let me walk through this and use this video to define what the basic gears of our Kapow engine are. Right here, we're going to be walking through an example of what a person has to do in this Lotus Notes application. And what happens is there's data in this Notes application and this timesheet data. And the problem is this is siloed inside of Lotus Notes. And this company needed to get that information out of Lotus Notes and move it into their billing and accounting system so they could publish out invoices and basically make money off their services crew. So what we're going to do is we're going to automate this with the Kapow robot. And so it's a very trivial use case that we solve all the time. We're going to log in, click, 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 and extract the data, and then make that data accessible via a web service, and that's basically a REST API call. So that's the use case we're working with. Here you'll see us using our tool, and this is the tool we use to configure the robots. And again, the robots are the ones doing the work and exercising that custom browser that we've spent 10 years building to work with. So real quick here, at the top, you'll see these little shapes. We use a visual language. We don't really have a name for this language. We just call them actions and steps. But that's synced with the panel below, which is the browser in action. And as the person is interacting with the browser below, the corresponding actions will show up at the top. And this is the basic, these are the fundamental operations that any person, you don't have to be a coder, you don't have to be really too much of a technologist to figure this out. So as you can see, we're right-clicking, we say click, 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 and at the top, the robot configuration is being defined. And so since all of this is all synchronized, it makes troubleshooting and quality control very easy. And it's because I'm seeing things as the robot works through them. So it's almost like if you're coding in Java, seeing the entire state of the machine on the right and be able to say, oh, you know what? This string is going to be null. I can catch that exception right now.
Almost anything you can hard code can be brought up through these side panels. The business logic that's being shown and being developed up front through, again, just working through this actual web page. That's the actual web page where our browsers display can be as complex or as simple as you need it. We have folks with robots that are with conditional loops or multiple steps and multiple depths, and we have others that are just a simple couple clicks.
Yep. So this is a basic, again, this is a trivial. So here we are with our robot that's configured, and what it's going to do is it's going to reply to the web service call with this hour at 28.0, which is fine. So that's the basic operation of how to create a robot. But that doesn't really help you out, right? Because nobody wants to run these robots on their platform, on their desktop. That's pretty stupid. So what we do is we deploy the robot to the management console, and that's a one-click operation, as you're seeing here. We're going to tell the Katalyst tool, where's the server? We deploy it, and what happens is we deploy it to this J2EE management console, and it's going to wrap that robot in a fault-tolerant, scalable web system and serve it up as a web service right here. And we provide a harness so that you can very quickly bridge the loop between technologists creating something, developing the robot, grabbing data, subbing it out, publishing it, and making it accessible to other enterprise systems. And so all of this is done turnkey by the platform. So let's jump into something a bit more exciting now that you have a kind of a good idea of what's going on with the robot. So here, I want to walk through this more complex robot, and I want to define the scenario as this. So let's say I own a real estate company, and I want to be able to tell my real estate agents about any new individuals that are flush with cash. And so once I know these individuals, I'm going to grab the contact information. I also want a dossier. I want to know, what's Tyler like? How old is he? You know, what kind of person is he? Is he going to buy a beach house? Is he just looking for a studio apartment in Manhattan? Or maybe a cabin in Nebraska? Then what I want to do is I want that opportunity to be sent to me via email so that I can act on it if I'm in the field, or also if any of my real estate agents are going to act upon this in real time. But we're also using Salesforce, which a lot of us have to deal with. So I want the whole system to be tied into Salesforce and add these opportunities in as Salesforce leads, so that as a manager, I can make sure that my real estate agents are following up on what I think are hot leads. So the first problem is I need to figure out who's flush with cash. So what I came up with was the SEC requires all insider trades to be filed, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the SEC filing site, and I'm going to loop through all the filings. And here's what the robot's going to do. So as I play with the actions above, you'll see it reflected in the the base panel. And what I'm going to do is for each one of these, I'm going to find the XML document. And with Kapow, it's very simple. I go here, I can define it, and one of the things that differentiates us from a lot of crawling systems, which is, we're different in about 100 different ways, but we have a very robust way of finding tags and defining the logic from which this robot should work. So here I'm saying, for every anchor tag, for each of those, find the ones that have href values of XML, and then that's fine, but there's probably other links in here that follow that suit. So what I want to do is I want to explicitly say, get the ones that, to the human readable form, have a .xml extension. So here I'm saying, for the tags that have the human readable, which is just text only, get the ones that have a .xml extension. And so as I iterate through here, and it finds the ones that are humans, it's going to show me in real time, this is the link I'm going to click. And that's great, that's what I want to do. So what I do here is I'm processing the XML. So for my next step, what I need to do is I'm going to check on Zoom info. And that's a second. I'm going to run this in debug mode. So what the robot does next is it grabs the information out of here, the Edgar database. It's going to look up the person on Blueburn Business Week using some Google Web Service custom search API calls. And that's going to give me the dossier information that I need. Then what it's going to do is it's going to look up the person in Zoom info and find the contact information and put all that together into an email. And this is all an example of consuming sources and data sites and integrating all these sites that don't have APIs and aren't meant to be talking to each other at all. And if I go back, I should see at least one is still chugging here, so anytime the internet's slow, my day gets really slow because I always have to deal with the internet all the time.